Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wildcat Dash here on Dash Sports TV. My name is Jacob Mennuti. I'm joined again with my co-host Ryan Wall. And happy Super Bowl weekend, by the way. How are we doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing all right considering that bad loss last night.
Yeah, I certainly have a lot of mixed feelings because one Arizona team seems to be trending in the right direction, while another team is struggling and moving backwards. It feels like, but we'll talk about that upward trending team later on in our show. But why don't we start with talking about the team that does not look very good right now, and that is the Arizona men's basketball team. The Wildcats lost 73 to 58 to Utah last night, and what was, we were saying it was one of the worst games, but I think it's safe to say that it was their worst game of the season. Just bad offense, terrible defense. They're now 7-5 and 3 games out of first place in the Pac-12 standings. This game was certainly one of those ones that Arizona would have liked to have if they wanted to win the Pac-12 regular season title, but it just didn't come to play last night. That's just what happened. What did you see from the game last night, Ryan?
Yeah, I totally agree. That was their worst performance of the year by far, as they lost by a ton and just a horrible performance. But to me, two things stuck out and have been sticking out to me the whole season. I know they've been playing well, but I said at the beginning of the year that this team was going to hit sort of a wall because of these two things. And number one, it's they don't have a go-to scorer. I've been saying this all year, and it's true. They do not have they do not have an every night go-to scorer. Akinjo has been that guy over the past 5 games. We like Mathurin for a few games has shown it a little bit, but nobody truly, night in, night out has been hitting those shots at a high level. And number two, as I just said, hitting shots, they can't hit shots at a high level and not even at an average level on most nights. Last night they were 37% shooting from the field and 22% from 3. And I know it's only 22% from 3, but the real concerning part to me, and if you look at the past few games, they don't take enough 3-point shots. They took 9 3-point shots and they only made 2. You're not going to win a basketball game if you make on most nights against a good team and an in-conference game if you only hit 2 3-point shots.
Yeah, as the title of our show says, the offense was really bad last night, but the defense was even worse. I mean, there was, there's always a way to overcome a bad shooting night, right? Like, in Arizona certainly had that bad shooting night last night, right? Like you said, 37% from the floor. They made just 2 threes that entire night. Benedict Mathurin was 1 for 6. Terrell Brown 3 for 11. James Akinjo was 2 for 9. He didn't even have his first bucket until halfway through the second half. Like there are ways to overcome a bad shooting night, and we've seen Arizona do that before, right? There was that one game where they didn't even make a 3 and they still ended up winning the game. So it's doable, but the only way you can do it is if you play defense on the other end of the floor, and they did not do that at all last night. Like, Utah's big men were just doing whatever they wanted last night. Jordan Brown just looked lost. These guys were just getting backdoor cut all night long. Like, every possession, it felt like Utah was ending its possession in a bucket. Like, it was like, I don't want to make. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this team anymore. Like, I keep waiting around for them to get better at defense. Like, because this is a good offensive team. Like, it didn't look like it last night, but they are. They're still top 3 in almost every offensive category in the conference. So this team can score. The defense is just not very good at all. And if this team wants to win the Pac-12 regular season title, they're going to need to guard up. And we can get excited about Kirk Kriisa coming back and adding to that rotation, but all that means nothing if you don't play defense. It's honestly a good thing that we're not going to see this team in the postseason, because it would not. I don't think they would make it very far playing defense like that. I mean, Utah shot 50% from the field last night, and they were just cannon every single 3-pointer. So they were just getting so many wide open looks. Like, it was really bad.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, the regular season Pac-12 title, I think we could put those hopes to rest right now, as that will not be happening this season. But I mean, really coming into the year, my expectations were basically just to take it as a developmental year. They have a lot of new players, a lot of guys that don't have a lot of experience playing in the United States. And so I took it for what it is. Some didn't because they caught a little fire and and went on a run and to win a lot of games early on. But I mean, from here on out, I mean, you got to basically just look at and focus on the development of each guy and how they've played. And even though they lost, I mean, the guy who's been trending in the right direction the last few games is Christian Coloco. I've been the hardest on Christian Coloco since the beginning, but last night, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks, and he doesn't play a lot of minutes, 24 minutes, a little more than usual. But so, yeah, I mean, and then Tabellis is basically just Tabellis at this point. Every night he's going to get his, like last night, 17 points, 7 rebounds, and was very good, I thought. But he's not like a go-to scorer. He's not a guy who can really create for himself normally. But yeah, as you said, the defense was just horrendous in that game. And I just wanted to touch on Kerr Kriisa a little bit. I mean, him and Dalen Terry in that game, they looked like two inexperienced guys. They looked out of place. And but like I'm taking them for what they are too. I mean, that's what you got to do. They're younger guys. They're really young. Kerr was his first game. I know Sean Miller raves about him in practice. All the guys do too, but he is what he is. It's his first game, so I didn't expect much, but some of those shot attempts, I remember he took a shot that was probably 5 feet beyond the three-point line. Like, you just can't be taking shots like that, period. And that's the whole key with this team. Their shot selection is horrible. They don't know when to take shots. And it just seems everyone on this team is timid and doesn't want to go to the basket.
It just didn't look like they wanted it last night. Like, they didn't look like they wanted to play. And Utah's a gritty team. Like, if you don't show up and play against Utah, they're gonna beat you. Like, they just came off. I think it was like an 18-point comeback win over Colorado or something like that. So they're amped up. They're ready to go. Like, this is not a team that you can kind of just play 50-70% against. Like, you got to actually try against Utah. I think the front court actually played really well, like you said about Coloco and Tabellis, but everybody else was just not very good. And we've talked about how Arizona doesn't really have that go-to scorer. Akinjo does it, but he has those games, and he had it last night where it just doesn't look like everything is falling for him. So he has those off nights, and it really kind of hurts the team. But I liked, I don't think, Kerr Kriisa did look, kind of mad last night, right? But, I mean, I think that's what we kind of expected, right? It's his first game coming in, but, we did kind of see kind of flashes of what he could potentially be. I mean, he had 2 assists in, the first 4 minutes, I think, of his playing time. So, he was, having that extra ball handler on the court, you can just tell it made differences. Having Kerr out there and, giving Akinjo and Terrell Brown some rest, you could tell it made some differences. And he's really comfortable with the ball. It looked like he had the ball in the string when he was dribbling. He looks comfortable out there. It's just the points are going to have to come later. And I think the shot selection will be there once he starts to get more comfortable. But I think the addition to Kerr Kriisa is really important because it adds that extra ball handler and, just someone who can take the workload off of Akinjo and Terrell Brown. So I'm not worried about Kerr Kriisa. I think he'll come around, and I think he'll definitely be a very good addition to this team later on.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I'm not worried about Kerr. But James Akinjo's performance last night was basically how a lot of 5 or 6 guys on this team have been all season long. Him scoring 10 points he'll score 10 points, he'll score 0. He did a few games ago, I believe, against USC, and then he'll score 20, 25. So that's just everyone's just so inconsistent on this team, and nobody can really find their stride night in and night out. And he just has to take more shots. I mean, and Terrell Brown's basically Terrell Brown. He hasn't showed that scoring touch as he did last year, and he's going to get about 8 to 10 a game, maybe a little less. But the guys that really need to step up more is James Akinjo, and just a little bit on Benedict Mathurin. He just looks a little too comfortable. I mean, I know he's had some great games, so I think he might have, he just maybe hit that wall where he needs to break through. But last night he just didn't look like he wanted it at all, as you said, with the whole team, and just wasn't aggressive on the offensive end.
That seems to be the theme the last couple games, right? Just Arizona just, looks a little bit lazy, right? They got whooped by Stanford because they just weren't playing. And even the game against Cal, like they got away with it because Cal's not very good, but they didn't, play with a ton of heart in that game either. Like I don't know, if maybe they're just getting tired or what's going on, but these last couple of weeks, it doesn't really seem like they want it anymore. And that's something that I'm really surprised that I'm seeing that, because from what Sean Miller was saying and what the other guys were saying is like, this is a good tight knit group and they want to play with each other and they're excited to be around each other. I don't really know what it is. I mean, I think it sounded like they said they weren't prepared for last night game. So part of that is maybe on Sean Miller, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't know where the energy is with this team. And I can understand, right, not being in the postseason, and maybe it's finally kind of caught up to them and all the COVID protocols. Maybe it's just, all of it's piling up and finally catching up to them. But I don't know. It just seems like this team just doesn't want it, these last couple of games. But, it's tough to see. But, they're only 3 games out of it. It's tough to kind of, count them out. It's 3 games. I mean, maybe, but it's starting to feel more like a reach at this point if they're going to win the Pac-12 regular season title, especially because UCLA is kind of just rolling right now. But why don't we kind of move on and talk about something that is a little more encouraging to us, and that is the Arizona football team. And honestly, it still hasn't settled into me and felt normal yet that this football team actually feels promising. But this team is actually really trending in the right direction. Head coach Jedd Fisch had his virtual press conference yesterday announcing the 2021 recruiting class following National Signing Day, which was this past Tuesday. And the class, includes 18 freshmen and 9 transfers. And I think the most impressive part about this class is those kids from the transfer portal, right? That Fisch and his staff was able to reel in. I mean, not only, did he bring in here to Tucson, but they also did it in such a short span, right? It was like 2 months since he got hired and to now where we're at to now. So, like it's crazy because it feels like a good recruiting class, but that's not what it really says. At least, 247 Sports is saying that they have this class ranked as 11th in the Pac-12 and 77th nationally. And those rankings are pretty low because it does not factor in the transfers from the transfer portal. But what do you think about this recruiting class? Is this class slept on?
Yeah, I would say the normal recruiting class without the transfers is basically what it's been the last few years, 3-star guys. And but the word to me that sticks out is just the transfers. Like what he's did with the transfer class in this part of this 2021 class, just been excellent. I would give Jedd Fisch an A+ for bringing all these guys in. I mean, we know a few weeks ago it seemed like that we had no quarterbacks. They all were gone. And then what do you know? We have 3 quarterbacks. I mean, and looks like there's going to be a lot of competition, he said, going into camp next year, and which is really good. I mean, some of the guys, they seem about even. I mean, Jordan McLeod's a dual threat, and then they got Gunnar Cruz from Washington State, 6'5", big quarterback, so a little different. But the guy that got me really excited the other day was when they got picked up Jason Harris from Colorado the other day, 4-star recruit. I mean, he was at Colorado. I don't think he played that much, but he's a big kid, 6'7", 220 defensive end, and should really provide that presence that they were missing last year. I mean, just all the 9 guys, they all stick out, and they're all top level guys from top level schools, like 2 guys from Northwestern, guy from Baylor, Notre Dame. This has just been incredible, and something that, I mean, even Kevin Sumlin in 3 years couldn't even bring some of the guys of this caliber in. And as you said, within a few months, it seems like no time, the Jedd Fisch and his staff are already making big moves.
Yeah, I think if you want to weigh in the transfers, I think 11th in the conference is honestly bogus. Like I think it would rank much higher if these transfers were weighed in, because like we mentioned, these kids from the transfer portal is what makes this class so good. I mean, not only did they bring in good players, but they brought in good players at the positions that they needed the most, right? Like you said, Jason Harris, that kid is an animal, 6'7". Like he's one of those dudes. You see him walk off the bus, like walking out the bus, and you're like, oh my god, that kid is huge. Like their pass rush has been atrocious for as long as I can remember. So having him with his brother Jalen Harris, that's going to help out a ton. And the secondary was one of the thinnest position groups, up on this entire roster. And they brought in Gunnar Maldonado and former 4-star recruit Isaiah Rutherford. So like it's been great. Like Arizona, had like 5 linebackers on its scholarship last season. They were just so desperate for someone who could play well next to Anthony Pandy, and they fixed that problem too and brought in Trayshawn Hayward, who I mean that is no average recruit. Trayshawn Hayward, he was viewed as one of the top guys in this transfer portal. He was an All-American in high school, and he was the MAC Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 at Western Michigan. So this dude is nasty. He's a legit player, and he'll definitely be one of Arizona's day one starters, and he'll be making one of them immediate impact. And, when we talked about the quarterback situation as well, it seemed like, it was the end of the world when Grant Gunnell left, and then Rhett Rod left, and then Clay Millen decommitted. And it's like, what the heck? There's like 2 quarterbacks on the roster. How are they going to fix this, right? And then, next thing you know, you've got Jordan McLeod and Gunnar Cruz, and there's a couple preferred walk-ons. Like Jed Fish has said, he's got a lot of people that he can count on in this quarterback room. It's a lot bigger than we seem, and he's already said that it's going to be an interesting QB battle. I think it's going to be at spring camp. I'm counting down the days to spring camp because, I think the exact quote Jed Fish said, he said he was just going to roll the balls out and see what happens with the quarterback situation. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, this class is going to be remembered by the transfers, and it's not just these kids are good, but they're also good for a long time. Like these kids are young and they have a lot of years left on their eligibility as well. So I mean, yeah, like you said, A+ to Jed Fish. I would give him an A++. He's doing all the right moves right now, and I think this is going to be. It's still going to be a work in progress, but we will see a huge difference last year coming into this year.
Yeah, and through those transfers that they were able to get, it's going to lead to more guys in the future in the 2022, 2023, 2024 classes. Then that's where hopefully they get some 4-star recruits and get more of those in-state players. As Jed Fish has said multiple times, that they're focusing on securing the state of Arizona first before they go to other states. They want to get all the great players in this state and try their best to do it, and they really did that. I mean, it's just a shame that Grant Gunnell didn't come back and reconsider after some of these moves. I mean, with this defense being better, and it's just I really think this team, there was just a lot left on the table. I really think with a new coaching regime and I really still believe in Grant Gunnell and that offense. Ton of good receivers. I believe 3 of the top 4 said they're coming back. So, I mean, I really think they could have made some noise, but I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, some of these guys still have something to prove. I mean, Gunnar Cruz, Arizona was one of his finalists back when he was in high school. He chose Washington State, so hopefully he can come back and do something. And for the other guys, I mean, I just hope Jed Fish picks a quarterback out of spring camp and leading into the season and doesn't do what I think was a mistake by Kevin Sumlin, switching the quarterbacks in and out. I mean, I don't think that ever really works. So I hope one of these guys can really step forward and become the guy of this offense and this team.
The coaching staff is just night and day compared to what it was last year and what it is now. Like you can just see it. It's so much better. Like Jed Fish, prioritizing the state of Arizona. I love that because I think there's a lot of hidden talent in the state of Arizona. I still will never forget and will never forgive Kevin Sumlin and his staff for letting Bijan Robinson and Lathan Ransom walk right out of the door when they were 5 minutes from campus. Like I still will never forgive them for that. That was just ridiculous that Bijan said he saw more coaches from Texas and Ohio State than he did of Arizona. I cannot get over that. So I think him prioritizing the state of Arizona is just awesome. He even said it yesterday about Jason Harris. He was like, I don't know why this kid wasn't here before I got here. So like he was saying, we got to make sure that never happens again. So I just love the mentality. I just think he's doing everything right so far. It's kind of talk the talk. And that's what I was saying earlier about right when they hired him, he's saying all the right things right now in these press conferences, but I just got to wait until he actually does it. He's actually doing it. Now we just got to see what it's going to be like on the field, and I really am really excited for this staff. I think there's a lot of hope, a lot of promise. They got Teddy Bruschi now coming around in that coaching staff. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see what we see on the field going forward.
Yeah, I can't wait for this upcoming football season. Has the potential to be one of the most exciting in the last 5 years about in this Arizona Wildcat football team. And yeah, the coaching staff is off the charts. And I mean, I think even in year one, I mean, they're not going to get walked over like they did last year with Kevin Sumlin. I think this team is going to have more fight and more firepower and fight till the very end in each game. And I think they're going to be competitive in year one.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and move on now to our final topic, which is centered around our boy Rob Gronkowski. It's only necessary that we acknowledge him every single chance that we get. Former Arizona Wildcat Rob Gronkowski, the one and only, will be competing in another Super Bowl this Sunday. It'll be his 6th Super Bowl appearance in his 10-year career. He won't, however, be wearing a New England Patriots jersey. He won't be wearing an Arizona Wildcat jersey either, unfortunately. As cool as that would be to see, he will instead be wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers uniform, and we'll be looking to get his first Super Bowl ring in a non-Patriots uniform. So it should be a good one on Sunday. I'm actually pretty excited for this one. But what are you expecting in this game, Ryan? And how much do you think Gronk will actually have an impact in this one?
I think he's going to have a huge impact. I think he's had some explosive games about from week like 12 on. He's really stepped up because still getting his feet back under him after taking a year off from football. But I really think he's going to be the secret weapon in this Super Bowl, and he's going to help break this Kansas City defense down and help Tom Brady once again win another Super Bowl. I mean, what Gronk has did is just incredible. I mean, this is his 10th year playing football in the NFL, and this is his 6th Super Bowl, and could be his 4th, which is it's just remarkable of all the things that he's been able to accomplish after coming to Arizona. So, I mean, I hope this isn't the end for Gronk, and I hope they can win, and we could see a few more years of Gronk.
I think he's going to have a big game too. Actually, these two teams played each other back in Week 12. The Bucs lost that game, but Gronk was actually the team's leading receiver. He had 6 catches for 106 yards, so he could have another chance to have a big game against the Chiefs because that Chiefs defense is certainly going to have their hands full trying to deal with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Fournette and Ronald Jones, and of course Tom Brady is running the whole freaking offense. So they're going to have their hands full. So I think there's only so many guys that can cover. So maybe Gronk has another sneaky efficient game in this one. But I do think he's going to have an impact in this one. But why don't we talk more broadly about this game? Give me your final score predictions for this game. Who do you think is going to win the rematch of this one? I said earlier, the Chiefs won the first matchup. But what do you think is going to happen in round 2?
I think the Bucs are going to. I think they're going to win by. I think they're going to win by about a touchdown. I mean, right now I would say they're going to win 31. Nah, I think they're going to win about 38-31. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. But I just think in the end, the greatest of all time is going to shine through and prove once again, because there are still doubters out there for some odd reason. But Tom Brady is the GOAT, and will prove it once again to secure his 7th ring and Gronk's 4th ring. And yeah, I would bet my money that Gronk's scoring a touchdown on Sunday.
I'll put money on that too. I think the Bucs are going to win this one too. Actually, I just don't think that it's so hard to beat Tom Brady twice, right? I think not only that, but this is actually the Bucs actually have a really good defense. They've been playing really well in the playoffs. They kind of have been carrying this team through the playoffs so far. And the Chiefs O-line is a little bit banged up right now, right? And that Bucs D-line is very good with Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea and Jason Pierre-Paul. I can already see the three of them just tossing those backup offensive linemen around. So I don't know. I like this matchup a lot for the Bucs, but I mean, obviously that Chiefs offense is something else. But I don't know. I really like this Bucs defense, and it's hard to beat Brady twice, in my opinion. I don't know, unless he's playing the 2015 Denver Broncos. I don't think there's a lot of teams in this league that can dominate Tom Brady after multiple times in one season. But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a really good game, but we'll have to see for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of the best Super Bowls in probably the last 5 years. It should be up there with any of them. To me, the last great one was was probably the Patriots versus the Eagles, which was a high scoring game. So I think it should be like that. But yeah, I just think the Chiefs have more to prove than people want to say. I mean, they've won. I look at the facts. They've won one Super Bowl. They've been to one Super Bowl. Andy Reid is 1 for 2 in 15 plus years coaching Chiefs and the Eagles. So to me, there's a lot of people that have won 1 and 2 Super Bowls, but until you win 3 or more, you're not on that next level. And to me, Patrick Mahomes isn't on that historic next level yet. And I'm not saying he won't get there because he's only still 25, but I mean, right now you got to lay some more respect on the best.
This game actually has a lot of implications because, we've talked about Brady and if he's the GOAT or not. Actually, I think he's the GOAT too, but there's a lot of people who, don't think he's there yet. I mean, if he wins another one with a whole different team, like what? Like, how is he not like the greatest of all time? He just jumped ship for the Patriots to like the Bucks and then wins the Super Bowl. Like that is GOAT stuff right there. And then, if the Chiefs somehow win this game too, like they'll be back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and we'll start talking about, how good Mahomes is and how good Andy Reid is, and maybe Mahomes and Reid is the next, Belichick and Brady type deal. I mean, like this could be the start of another dynasty if the Chiefs win this one. So I think there's a lot riding on this game. It sounds like you're taking the over here, but I'm going to come in with a hot take and say that this game is going to hit the under. I think the over-under right now is like 56 or 54, which is really, really high. But Super Bowls, they tend to have slow starts. So I think they're going to hit the under. But if this game hits the over, I won't even be a little bit surprised because both of these offenses, these are probably the 2 best offenses in the league. But I'm excited to see it. It should be fun.
Yeah, and what you said is, I mean, I disagree. I think either way, people want to fill their shows up and talk that Brady he'll take a step down if he loses this and that. But the reality is even if he loses, he's 6 for 10, 60%, and still better than anybody in history, and still 6 Super Bowls. And even if Mahomes wins, I heard like some people on Fox talking about how if Mahomes would beat him, they could argue he's already better than Brady all time. I mean, that's just stupid. I mean, 6-2 is crazy. I mean, winning back-to-back is remarkable, but I mean, Brady went to 3 straight Super Bowls, so that there's levels to all types of teams and levels of dynasties. I mean, and they've with the Patriots, he went to 9 Super Bowls. So I mean, this is still Mahomes' 2nd Super Bowl. So I mean, I'm not saying he could end his career winning 3 to 4, but that's still ways and levels away from 6 Super Bowls.
I actually totally agree with that. As a diehard Denver Broncos fan, I really, really hope the Chiefs lose on Sunday. So I'll be rooting for the Bucks, and I actually think they will win. But I think we're running out of time here, so that is where we're going to end things. I wanted to thank you guys all for coming in, tuning in, and watching. A reminder that we are live here every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time if you live in Arizona. Check us out over on our website where we post all of our live shows and highlights over on our website at dashsports.tv. You can also follow us on all social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. So thank you everybody for tuning in, and hopefully we will see you next week.